Hey guys, this is Naveen here. Welcome back to Naveen Automation Labs and back to our Playwright API series. In the last couple of sessions, we have seen different features of Playwright with respect to API automation. We have seen that how to use the get call and then how to fetch the response and how to validate the response with headers and status, the status body, and then whatever the JSON body that we are getting in the form of response, we have validated that. Now, today we are going to talk about the post call. Post call means whenever you have to create a new entity or create a new resource through the post APIs that we are going to use it. And it's again very simple. You just need to create one hash map object and then you have to write request.post over here with different various options. So today we will see that basic thing with respect to post call, that how to use a post call, how to send the request, how to get the response. And then we will see that how to send the authorization also, that one bearer token we will get, and then how to supply the authorization token as well. First, before writing the code, I'll show you an example here. From this application, you can go to this gorest.co.in, and here you will see there are various calls, APIs are available. You can see the post call. This is going to create a new user, right? And there are different curl operations also there. Curl examples are there. In order to create a user, you can just simple pass content type as a header that you can pass, and authorization also, that bearer token, that also you have to pass. And this is the URL. This is the JSON body that you have to pass it here. But we are not going to use the curl command. We are going to use, let's see first in the postman. So this is the post call that here you can see. Let me just increase the font size. And first you select the post from here, and this is the URL. Remember one thing, whenever you are using the post call on this, most of the APIs, they will not allow you to create a user without authentication. For example, for time being, let me just unselect this authorization. And then let's say I'm sending this particular request. Let's say I'm saying that my request is testing with Playwright, something like this. And then email ID I'm writing, let's see, testplaywright@gmail.com. I'm not passing any authentication. See, I have unchecked this. I'm passing simple a body. In order to select the body, what will you do? Whatever the JSON body that you have, you click on raw and raw to JSON, and then paste your JSON body here like this, and then send the request. When I send this particular request, you will see that authentication failed. We are getting, you are not authorized 401. We are getting here. So that's what we have to add one header, authorization header. Now, how will you get this information? Because this information is clearly written here that you have to pass -h, means the header, authorization, bearer token, this token that you have to generate. So how will you generate this token? See, on this application, let me just log out. And you can log in again. And then you can log in with your GitHub account, Google or Microsoft account. So for example, let's see, I'm going to log in with my Google account. So after login, so let's see, I have logged in. You can see logged in from Google, and then it will give you one token over here. You can generate, you can refresh the token, you can delete this token, you can generate a new token also. So for example, let's say I'm using this particular token, just copy this and come back to your postman, and header name that you have to pass authorization A capital. And then the token that you have to pass, you have to write first of all that bearer, put a space, and then paste it here. So this is your token, and this is your JSON body that you are passing. And now let's see, is it really creating the user or not? So here you can see, yes, the user got created. ID is this and this and that. And the name is this, email ID, gender, and the active. If I really want to validate that the same user has got created or not, so you can simply go to the get call, and then you simple pass, okay, question mark ID, the same ID is there or not, or you can just simple pass // with the ID also. Let's see, it is really, let's check this ID, user ID got created or not. So yes, yeah, this user ID is available here. So in the get call also, now you can see that I'm passing the same authentication token or authorization header that I'm passing it here. Right. So this is a basic scenario. First, we will create a user and we will see that the same user is created or not. Otherwise, how will you validate that user got created or not? So this is how we do the post API testing. First, we create the user and we will validate with the get call that the same user is getting created or not. Because you never know, the developer is always saying, okay, yeah, the fake ID or some random ID it's supplying and then saying always 201 created. or let's say user got created. So in order to check it properly, what we will do, we will do a get call with the same ID that got created, and then we will hit that are we getting the same response or not. So idea is that first you call the post call, get the JSON response and fetch this particular ID, and the same ID we will append it over here in the get API URL. So this is like end-to-end test that we have to write. And remember one thing, whenever we create the data with the post call, we will be getting 201 created. This is the status code. And whenever we get the simple response from the get call, we are getting 200 OK here. Perfect. So this is a use case. Now let's do the exactly same thing with the Playwright. Okay. Now, what should I do? I simply say, let's create a new Java class. And let's see, this is like a create user post call test, something like this. This is the test class that I have written. And we will do the exactly same thing. See, we are not developing the framework right now. We are writing the code first and checking that, okay, all these basic functionalities of Playwright with respect to different calls. Framework we will develop later, okay, where we will create different components and we will integrate with the folder structure properly and integrate with the different reporting and everything. So I'll do one thing. This is the before test and Playwright context creation, everything that I'll create it. So request context got created. Now I'm going to use one at the rate after test also. So once everything is done, simple playwright.close method, I can use it here. Perfect. So this method is fine. Now I'll start writing my at the rate test annotation. So how will you write it? So I'm going to create a method, public void, let's see, create user test method, and import this first of all that, okay, from the test.ng. And see this with the help of this request context, right? This request that we have created, then the request.new context that we have written. So with the help of this request context, we will try to create a post, just like we did last time get call, right? If you remember that we were using .get method. Today, now we have to use .post method here. So you can see it's having two string normal URL and then with different request options. So we will go with the request options because we have to add the header also. We have to add the JSON body as well, right? So let's use this one. It's saying, okay, what is the URL? So the URL, I'll take it, let's see, from the Postman, somewhere from here. Let's take it from here. So this is the URL for the post API. Okay. And then you just simple come back here. Let me just close this. And then you simple write, paste it here. After that, what are the different request options that you have? So see, it's saying that we have, okay, let's use the request options dot, then we have to use the create method, right? I'll do one thing. I'll just write in the next line so that it's visible properly. And now with the request dot create, we have to use multiple options. So I'm going to write, first of all, that you have to set the header. So let's set the header. So two headers that we have to set. First of all, that let's see in the Postman once again. The first header, we have to add it with respect to content type. It should be application JSON because we are sending the JSON payload, right? We are sending the request payload as a JSON. So content type should be application JSON. So let's write it over here. So here I'm writing that is content hyphen type. It should be what? It should be application JSON, right? C capital and T capital in the content type. You can just cross check here. Okay. Second thing I'm passing, this is your authorization and this is your bearer token. So I'll just copy this entire bearer token, copy this, come back here. And the next header also we can pass. I simple write dot set header, and we have to write no spelling mistake authorization, put a comma, and then this is the token. Now, right now, this token is hard coded. Later on, we will see that how to supply the token from the some other file or how to generate the token dynamically and all those things that we will do in the framework part. Okay, right now we just want to check the post is working or not. Now, along with that, what should I do? We have to set up the body also because see this post call, we have to set the body. We have to send this particular JSON payload. So in Playwright, it's very simple. What you just need to do, let's create one data here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create one hash map because JSON is what is again available in the form of key and value pair format. So in Java, I'm going to use the equivalent collection, let's see, map, because hash map is stored the data in the form of key and value pair format. So I'll say, okay, fine, this is the key will always be in a string. And then the value could be any object, something like this. And let's say I'm writing, this is my data, which is equal to new hash map that I'm going to use. And then again, I'm writing a string comma object over here, right? And then you can just simple import hash map and import map also, okay, from the java.util package. Now in this particular data, I'm going to use one method that is called put method, and I have to supply the key. So what is the key? What exactly value that you are supplying? So let's say we are supplying name, email, gender, and status. So I'll do one thing, and for our reference, I'll just copy and then somewhere, let's see, I'll just paste it here. So I'm saying I want to supply name. So let's take name, comma, whatever the name that you want to pass. So for example, let's see, I'm passing Naveen, or let's see, Naveen Auto, something like this. Okay. And whatever the name that you want to pass. And then I'm saying email. So let's supply the email Naveen Auto Playwright @gmail.com. Okay, let me write everything in the small letter. Generally, we prefer small letter auto playwright @gmail.com. Okay. Now I'm going to supply data.put. Once again, the third one, that gender. So let's write gender, that here I'm passing a male here. And then I'm going to supply that, okay, put a semicolon. Once again, data.put, and next key value is the status. And the status that I'm going to write, let's see, this is the active status, right? So this is the JSON payload I have created. Now let me remove this. This is just for our reference. Now this data is having available in the form of hash map. So you don't need to do any kind of conversion with the Playwright. You can easily do this, that, okay, set header is fine. Now you just simply come back here and then you write, use this particular method, set data. Set data says that, okay, you can pass any object, you can pass any string, direct JSON string also you can pass, or you can pass, give the data in the form of byte array also. So we will see these things in upcoming chapters. But right now I'm passing one normal Java object. Java object is, let's see, data. Later on, we will see POSO conversion and all such things also. Those options also, we will see that for sure. So this is what we have created. And now this is the request. The request is ready. Okay. So data, and this is the closing bracket here. And then put a semicolon, right? So in any API automation, first thing is that you have to create your request. So how will you read this request? This is my post call. This is the URL. These are the two headers that I have added. And this is the data that I'm supplying, because obviously with the post call, we have to supply the data. Now, post will return what? See, the post method is saying, I'm going to give you the API response. So can I store inside the API response? So let's write it, same thing, API response. And what kind of response it is? Let's see, this is my post API response, right? So I'll write API post response is equal to this. And I'll do one thing for our reference. I'll say that, okay, yeah, this is my post call. Okay, for creating the user. Create a user. Perfect. So user, what will happen? User will be created here. And we are getting the response here. Now, what do you want to do with this particular response? I'll do one thing, that I'll simply write as out with this response, give me the status. If you really want to validate that status, so you can write one assert equals whatever the API post response dot, and we are getting this particular status. It should be what? 201. Remember, not 200, 201, because in post API, the response is 201. Then after that, if I really want to validate a couple of other things, so let's say I really want to validate that what is your status text. So let's see the status text that we are getting created over here, 201 created. So this is the text along with that we are getting. So let's write in double quote, I'm saying it should be created. Let's see if it is giving you something else, we will change it later on. Okay, so status text is fine. Now what I want to print the text, whatever the response body is coming. So again, from the API post response, let's print it on the console as out, and then dot text over here that I'm going to print it. Now I really want to print in the form of a JSON object. So what should I do? Same thing. Remember that we did last time, that we have to use object mapper from the Jackson API. So let's create the object mapper class object. So object mapper that we have created. And with the help of this object mapper dot C, there is one method, read tree method is available that we can, okay, we can use it. And read tree method is saying, fine, you have to give me whatever the response that you are capturing, you give me the body. So in Playwright, they have a method which will return body, which will return the byte array. So I'm going to use this one, read tree method, that I'm going to use it here, right? So object mapper dot read tree method, and this method will throw some exception. So add exception also, fine. Read tree method will return what it's saying. I'm going to give you the JSON node. So let me store inside the JSON node. And here I'm saying this is my post API JSON response. Post JSON response. Let's write shorter name, something like this, which is equal to this. And the moment I get my post JSON response, what I can do, I can simply write dot what to pretty string that I can use it. And then this to pretty string will return what a string. So I can just simply use it directly in my s out. I can print it directly here. Let's see s out and then print it in the pretty format. Perfect. So till here, let's see that we have written, and let's see, is it really working or not, right? Okay, so let's see the post API is working or not. So I'm just going to do what? I'm just going to run it. So right click, go to run, and let's see the data is actually getting created or not. So let's open the terminal from here. Test got started. And let's see. Okay, so it's saying create user. Awesome. So you can see that data got created. We are getting 201. Perfect. Overall test got passed. 201 we are getting. And then this is the response. We can see data got created. This is the ID, this is the name, this is the email ID, mail, and then active. Whatever data that we have used here, same data got created. Now I'll do one thing manually. I'll check this data is really there or not, right? So I'll just go back in the Postman and I'll check that, okay, with the get call, the data is this with this particular ID. So I'll just paste the ID and then send the response. I mean, send the request and getting the response. Yeah, exactly same data. In the Postman also, we are getting it. So hence proof that, okay, yeah, manually we have tested, it's fine. But I wanted, okay, let's do it with the scripting that check immediately the same user got created or not. So what I'll do, I simply call my get API also. So now I'll write that, okay, this is my get call that fetch the same user what by ID. This is what we have to do. It means in the Postman, if you see that this is the URL, and after users, we have to append this one, this ID. So obviously, whatever the ID that we have fetched at the, from the first request with the first call, we have to get this response and we have to fetch this particular ID. Now, how should I do that? So here you can see this is a post JSON response that we have fetched. And I'll do one thing. I'll try to, let's write one capture. I'll say ID from where? So I'll write, let's see, capture ID from the post JSON response. So this is the post JSON response dot get method. I can use it. And it's saying for which field. This is called field. So let's see, I'm writing ID from this particular ID. And then do what? Dot as a text method. You can use it. See, this is my as a text method. Give me as a text. Because get method is giving you what? Get method is saying I'm going to give you one, let's see, once again a JSON. So I have to convert that into text. So we will get a pure text value here. And then I'm going to store it here. That is my S out. 1 second. Okay, that S out with println statement that I'm going to use it. So I'll write here that this is your user ID that you newly created. And then as a text that I'm fetching it. Perfect. So this will print it. And or I'll do one thing that before that, I'll just use it in my a normal string that I'm going to store it first, like this. So let's see, this is the string user ID equal to this, and the same user ID, I'm actually printing it on the console. Perfect. Now this user ID, we will use it in our get call. So for get call, what should I do? So let's use it with the same request context dot get method. We have to use it, right? So I'll write it. Okay, this is my request context dot get. Which one? This one. What is the URL? Let's write the URL. So the URL is this up to here. Copy this URL. Okay, paste it here. And then we have to append with what? We have to concatenate with the user ID that we have captured. So just paste it here, put a comma. So how exactly it will look like? I want a get call with this user ID actually. And this is a URL. Exactly same thing. One forward slash and then this one. Are we having any query parameter? No, we don't have any query parameter as such. So I'm just simply saying, okay, this is a user ID. And do we have any request options? So yes, I really want to supply some request options also. We can supply it here. So let's supply that request options dot create method that I'm going to use. And then I'm going to write that, okay, that dot what? Are we going to apply any query parameter? No. So we just need to apply one set header because we have to supply the authorization also, right? So I'll do one thing, that set header. I'll just copy this thing from here and then paste it over here. Okay. So this is what we have written. Let me just slightly write it over here. This is set header. Okay. And I'm just going to close this thing here. Nice. So this is a request with the get call that we are sending. And then we are just saying, okay, user ID is already appended here, or you can add as a query parameter also. That is also fine. So, but I'm appending directly in the get call URL. Then after that, this get method also will give you what? It will give you one API response. So I'm just going to store in the API response here. So how will you write it? I simply write API response and giving a nice name that, let's see, I'm writing API get a response, which is equal to this. Okay, like this. And then from this API get response, what exactly you want. So I want, first of all, that status code should be 200. So I'll write quickly one assertion. Assert dot assert equals from this response dot status should be what? Your status should be 200. That is the first assertion that we have written. Perfect. What else you want? And then I'm saying that same thing, the status text also, let's write an assertion for that. So status text should be what? See, in this case, it should be okay, if you remember, right? If you see the postman also, then we are getting okay, the status text. So first of all, these two quick assertion that I have added. Now I really want to print the text, right? Or maybe the complete JSON body also we can print it. So with the help of object mapper also you can use it. Or let's say I'm just going to use this one, that as out, whatever the response that we have captured, give me the text dot text over here. Perfect. So the text will be printed on the console that, yeah, this is the user got created. But how will you validate that? First of all, if you're getting the 200, it does not give you guarantee that you are getting the same result, right? So we have to validate on the basis of the data. So quickly, I can do one thing. I can just again convert that into, or let's see, you can use this thing that if it is contains or something, that also I can use it, that it contains Naveen Auto or this particular ID, that also we can do it. So let's do one thing. I'm just going to write a quick assertion. If you really want to convert that into object mapper, convert into JSON, and that also we can do it. So let's say I'm writing assert dot assert equals once again. This is the API response dot particular text, and this text dot contains what? This text dot contains, I'm saying, let's see, it should contain this particular ID. So you can just simply pass this ID here. And instead of writing assert.assert equals, I'm going to write assert.assert true, because contains method will give you a boolean here. Okay, see, it contains. So contains will give you a boolean. So obviously we have to write assert.assert true here. Perfect. So let's see, is it really working or not? So we are printing the text and we're checking that, okay, with the same ID. Sorry, not this. This is the hardcoded ID, the same ID, user ID that we can supply it here. Why to do hardcoded? And let's validate one more thing here, that from the response text, we can do one more thing, that it contains Naveen, auto or not. This particular. Okay, the name should be this. Nice. Now, only one thing we have to do here is that, see this in the Postman also. If you are hitting this API once again with the same email ID, it will give you error. It's saying that user ID, email ID has already been taken, right? So we have to change a different name. For example, let's say I'm writing testing pww and then again send. Okay, this is also taken. So we have to change the email ID. Let's say it's testing pw1 and then you send it. Now it's saying, okay, you're creating the new user. So every time we have to update the email, right? So what I'll do, just to check it right now, I'm just changing my email ID. Everything is same. I mean, name is same. I'm saying Naveen auto pw1 and everything will remain same. So it will create a new user ID will be generated and the same user ID will be appended here. And whatever the user ID that you are getting, we're checking in the response, is it having the same user ID? And I'm not changing any name. So it should contain Naveen auto or not. And then that's it. Okay, so it should be part of one single test. Let's run it and let's see. It's not like you are creating two tests for that. One is for post and one is for get. No, post and get it because it's one end-to-end scenario. So you have to maintain in the same @test annotation. First create the user and then validate the same user. Awesome. See, it's getting created. Let's quickly check that. So you can see 201 got created. This time, this is the post call with Naveen auto. You can see pww1gmail.com. And this is a user ID 973723. And then we are printing the user ID after the get call. And then the same user ID we are fetching. I mean, we are getting with the get call, same user we are fetching. And after get call also, it's giving you the same user ID here. That's perfectly fine. Right now, what we can do that is still like whenever I want to run, every time I have to update a new email ID here or use a new email ID. So what we can do, we can create some kind of, a utility here, which will generate one, random email ID or some unique email ID every time. So how will you generate that? So let's create one method here. Let's see, public static void get random email, something like this. Okay. And then I'm going to use this random class. I can use it dot, or I can create the object of random class is equal to new random, which is actually coming from Java. And with the help of this random dot, see, there are various methods are available. You can see these are the methods are available. Or I can do one thing. If you don't want to use random, I can just see this carefully. Because see, if I'm generating a random number between 1 to 100, then number can be repeated next time. So in order to avoid that, what we can do, I'll do one thing. I'm just going to create one email ID, which is equal to, and deliberately writing something like this. This is my test Playwright automation. I want @gmail.com, but along with that, append with some number. So I'll write here that system dot what? You can write current time in milliseconds, that you can write it, and then plus, and then you use something like this. Let's see, gmail.com. Perfect. So how exactly it will work? Test automation or whatever the test PW automation, whatever the current time is going on. Let's see, for example, right now it's Friday 1:38. Whatever the current time along with the milliseconds and then @gmail.com. So it will always give you a random email ID. And then I'm saying, okay, then you return what? This particular email ID from here. So instead of void, I'm going to write a string here. Let's see, this is working or not. And then get random email ID, I just need to call it here. So I'll do one thing, remove this hard-coded value, and let's call this method get random email ID, which will always get the unique email ID, and then I'm supplying it over here. Perfect. So let's see, is it really working or not? So see, I'm not going to change it now, anything, and you can run this thing n number of times. Let's see, is it really picking or not? Nice, awesome. See, create a user test, and let's see this time. See, can you see a random number, something like this on the basis of current time in milliseconds? ID is this one. Everything will remain same, and now the email ID is getting changed like this. See, now you can cross check in the postman also that the same user got created or not. So let's check with the get call. This is the user ID. Call it and see, yes, this is the email ID got created, right? So now we have removed those unnecessary, changes manually. You don't need to change anything. Generate the get random email and then use it over here. This is just kind of simple utility that we have created to generate the random email. Okay, after that, if you really want to validate the email over here as well, that also now we can do it. So how to do this? That same email ID. So I'll write it, okay, fine. This one, the text dot contains what? See, I'll do one thing, that whatever the get random email that you are calling it here, okay, this one. Or I can do one thing, that I can maintain one at the class level. I can maintain one static string, which is email ID, like this. And the same email ID that I'm going to use it here. So remove this string from here. So this email ID at the global class level that I have created. And now the same email ID, now I can use it everywhere. Okay. So I'll just simply come back here and I'm saying if it is containing the same email ID. Perfect. Let's see, is it working or not? And I'll do one thing. This is my get call response. So I'll just print a message here that is out that, okay, so it actually running it. Yeah, now it got started. Okay. So first it will execute a setup method. It will start the playwright and all those things. And then let's see. So yeah, so we are getting the response, and here you can see again, it's generating the new email ID and this one, and then we are validating it. And my overall test is absolutely working fine here. So this is how we write the post call along with the get call together. And you can say this is a kind of chain that we have to use. Post, create a user, and then fetch the same user by using the user ID and validate that the user is actually created or not in the system, in the database or not. Right? So this is how we do the post call. So I hope it's pretty simple. In the next session, I'll tell you that how to supply the JSON values. Then we will try to maintain one POSO class, a Java class, and convert that into JSON with the help of object mapper. You must have heard about serialization and deserialization. And then, because right now we have only 4 attributes in the JSON, but what if tomorrow you have a 20 attributes or 30 attributes or a lot of JSON array, nested array, or nested JSON object that you're using it? Then in that case, I cannot maintain so many objects here like this. So that's all for this video. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care and God bless you all, guys.